So, good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, guys. So let's start now. So let us just brush it up once, and we'll begin the process. So, guys, we'll start with the Azure data engineering. So just we'll brush it up once, and then we'll move further with the process. So, what is Azure data engineering? So, Azure data engineering is a that is nothing but group of services. Group of services. So what type of services? You can say group of cloud services, basically. Group of cloud services. The Azure Data Engineering is the group of cloud services provided by the Microsoft. Provided by what's that? Microsoft. So Azure Data Engineering is a group of cloud services provided by the Microsoft. Okay, to perform the following jobs. What is that? That is nothing but data migration. Then we have what is the data integration. And then we have what's the data summarization. And then we have the data visualization. That's it. So these are all the services provided under the that is nothing but the Azure data engineering. To achieve the service, these services, to perform these jobs, we have the following services, or we can say these jobs we can perform it: data migration job, data integration job, data summarization job, and data visualization job. This we can perform it by using the following services. What is that? We have the, that is the first one, everyone. So let's see here all the services which are provided into this Azure. So guys, the first service here we call it as what? The ADF, that is nothing but Azure Data Factory. And here you can say the second one as the Azure Data Bricks. And the next one you have it as the Synapse. Okay. And then the next service we can say Azure Machine Learning ML. And then we have this Azure Artificial Intelligence. So these are all the various services provided under the Azure Data Engineering. Azure Data Engineering. Whereas, guys, this whole concept, as you know, it is dependent on the data. So we can say what is that? The data. So what do you mean data, guys? Everyone, the data is nothing but what? Yes, guys, data is nothing but what? Information. So here, when you talk about the information, we receive the information from some source. Am I right? So whereas, so let us, we have already discussed yesterday, just I'm brushing it up. So we will receive the information from the source of information, or we can say source of data. So what are the sources of data? We can get the data from what is that? Ultimately the business and various type of business. So we can say the first type of business is what? We can say is the social networking sites. Social networking sites. We receive the data or the information, and this data we can get it here. Yes, guys, in the form of what is that? Some in the form of a files. Okay, in the form of a files or browsers, etc. Next, again in the, we can say business, we receive the data. We can receive the data from the business, and here we can receive the data in the form of from what? From the banking applications. Okay, and this we will receive it mostly in the form of what is that? The databases. And now again we can say we can receive the data from the business, and this business can be again what is that? The live streaming process. live streaming process. We receive the data from the live streaming process. Okay, guys, we receive the data from the live streaming process. So here we can say the live streaming process, we can get the data either in the form of a files, okay, or various type of files you can receive it. Okay, so mostly the live streaming data will be received in the form of a files, or we can say from the APIs we can receive the data, etc. These are all the application programming interface API. So we will receive the data here in this. Okay, that is nothing but from the websites we can get the data. API means. Okay, so that's it, guys. So these are all the sources of data. So when we talk about, guys, when we talk about this data, whatever we receive it, is classified or categorized into three categories. What is that? The types of data, we can say. The types of data. Yes, guys, what are the types of data we can have it? Yes, types of data means what? Yes, we can say what's it? Structured data. And then we can say, guys, what is that? Semi-structured data. Semi-structured data. And the next one, what is it? We can say, guys, everyone. And the third one is called as what? Unstructured data. Unstructured data. These are the, guys, everyone, these are the three type of so these are the three type of data we can have it. That is, or the data are, or the data is classified into three categories. What is that? Structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. So structured means what? Guys, structured means what? The data which we get it in the form of a tables. That is the form of what is that? Rows and columns. That is the forms of what is that? Rows and columns. Fully understandable, fully okay. That is nothing but structured data. That is called as the data in the form of what? Rows and columns is called as what? Structured data. And when we talk about the semi-structured data, guys, the semi-structured data is nothing but this is we can get it in the form of some files. What is that files? Those files are nothing but called as what? Yes, guys, JSON file, which stands for JavaScript object notation file, which we have discussed yesterday. And then we have again, what is that? HTML files. And then we can receive it XML files. Yes, again, yeah, etc. These are the various type of data we can get it in the semi-structured. And unstructured means what? The photos, pictures in your mobile phone, the videos, and then the chat histories. This is called as unstructured data. Whereas when we talk about the real time, 80% of the data you will receive it in this format. And from among the rest of the 20%, you will receive it in what? So in the semi-structured or the semi-structured or the structured form. Semi-structured or the structured form. So only 20% of the data will be getting it from here. Whether it is structured or semi-structured, only 20% of the data we will receive it here. That's it. The rest of all the data we have to, yes, guys, rest of all the data we have to, yes, put forward here. That means we have to convert this semi-structured data or the unstructured data into the proper structured format, into the proper structured format, we have to convert the data. That's it. So this is how it works exactly, guys, everyone. This is how it works exactly. Okay. So everyone, yes, guys, the next one. So for storing this data, for storing this kind of data, that is structured, semi-structured, or unstructured, to store this data, we require what is that? The Azure storages. We require what is that? The Azure storages. We require what is that? The Azure storages. So Azure storages is essential to store this kind of data into the Azure environment. Into the Azure environment, we require to store the data. So what are the storages? Yes, guys, how many storages we have? We have altogether 90 plus storages are there. When we talk about the 90 plus storages, everyone, when we talk about the 90 plus storages, guys, some of the storages which we can list it out here is the, yes, the first one is what is it? Azure blob storage, where Azure blob storage, where it can store what kind of data, guys, everyone? It can store any kind of data, whether it is a structured, semi-structured, or the unstructured. Structured, semi-structured, or the unstructured. So we can store the data in the form called, what is that? Structured.
11.
Yes. So here we can say the data, we can store it in the form of structured, semi-structured, structured, semi-structured, and the unstructured. And the unstructured. These are the all type of data we can store it into the Azure Blob Storage, where the blob stands for what? Binary large object. Everyone. The blob stands for what is it, guys? Yes, the blob stands for what? Binary large object. Everyone. The blob stands for what? Binary large object. Okay, everyone. So the blob stands for what? Binary large object. And the next one you have, what is it? Azure Data Lake Gen 1. So, but the Gen 1 is there, but here this is going to retire in 2024. Just for your information, I'm telling you, it is going to retire in 2024. So hence, the Azure or the Microsoft recommends to migrate the data from the ADLS Gen 1 to what is that? Gen 2. So here it is Gen 2 is provided with more advanced features. Azure Data Lake Gen 2. Azure Data Lake Gen 2. So it recommends to store the data. It recommends to store the data into the ADLS Gen 2 rather than storing the data in the Gen 1, because now anyways it's not allowing to create also. So that we can just forget about it. So the next one, what is it? You have it. Even in the Gen 2 storage, we can store any kind of data. That is, it can be the structured, semi-structured, or the unstructured. Any kind of data we can store it here, guys, everybody. Okay. And the next one, the fourth type of storage, that is called as what? Azure. Yes, guys, Azure. Yeah, SQL database. Azure SQL database means what? See, Azure, there is SQL database means cloud database. SQL Server is what? On-premises database. Okay. So here you have Azure SQL database. It can store only the structured data, whereas the unstructured and the semi-structured is not supported here. We can store only the structured data, guys. And the fifth one, you have the Azure Cosmos DB. Cosmos DB, which is called as NoSQL database, which is called as what? NoSQL database. So when there is no SQL, that means you can store the semi-structure and as well as the unstructured data here. So we can store the semi-structured and the unstructured. So semi-structured and the structured data, you can store it here into the what is that? Azure Cosmos DB. And the next one, you have it here about Azure Synapse, which is nothing but the data warehouse of Azure. Azure Synapse is the data warehouse of Azure, and this can store, as it's a data warehouse, it stores only the structured data, guys, because this is the final layer of data where we are going to store it, and this system is called as what? Decision making system. This is called as what? Decision making system. Then this is the final layer of data, we can say. That's it, guys. So guys, whether we use the service here called Azure Databricks, or we use the service called, what is it? The Azure, guys, whether we use the service called Azure Databricks, or we use the service called Azure Data Factory, or we use the service called Synapse, any service we use it. Any service we use it. Whether we use the Azure, okay, what is that? Databricks, Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, or the Synapse. These storages are common for all. These storages are common for all, guys, everyone. This is our commonly all the storages we can use it with every service. Okay. So guys, today we'll start with the first one, that is called as the Azure Data Factory. So guys, the first one we will start with the Azure Data Factory. So what is the Azure Data Factory? Let us try to understand this, the Azure Data Factory. So guys, ADF. So ADF stands for what, guys? Azure Data Factory. So the Azure Data Factory is developed on a technique that is called as what? The technique called as what is it, guys? Everyone, this is called as the ETL, extraction, transformation, and loading. This is the new technique. This is older technique which is there since long, where it performs the job of extraction, transformation, and loading on the data, where it extracts from the source, transforms it, and finally load it into the target system. That is called as a, whether it is a on premises, the source can be on premises, or the source can be the cloud. It doesn't matter, but it can perform the job of ETL. Now this ETL is replaced. Now is being slowly replacing, not fully replaced. It's being slowly replaced with ELT as a new technique that is called as extraction, loading, and transformation. So here, these are the two things we have. Extraction, I'm writing it, extraction, transformation, and loading. Then apart from this, you can say or extraction, loading, then transformation. So these are the two techniques we have it: extraction, transformation, loading, extraction, loading, and transformation. So these are the two techniques we have it, guys. So whereas either you use any of the technique, basically you require two things here. What is that, guys? Everyone, we require the source, that is called as the source of data, and the target or the destination where you want to send the data. Target. So here you can say what is it? Source and the target. And between the source and the target, the ETL will be operated. The ETL will be operated, or ELT will be operated between the source and the target. Between the source and the target, the ETL is going to be operated. And this ETL is performed by using the that is nothing but the service of the Azure, that is called as what? Azure Data Factory. It is called as what? Azure Data Factory. So we can use the Azure Data Factory to perform the job of ETL, that is extraction, transformation, and loading. Getting my point, everyone? So guys, here you have what's that? Source. So guys, source. Source means what? Tell me now. Suppose you have a desktop, and desktop, I have some files here. So when you have some files, so here let us go to my desktop and we will see this. All of you, I'm sharing my desktop now. See here, this is my desktop, and here you have some files here. Just open this folder. You have some files. So this is what? Currently it is on my desktop. Am I right, everyone? So this is currently on my desktop. So I can say that this is on my desktop. So hence I can say this data is on premises. This is what is that? On premises. So I have some file. What is that? Customers underscore east. Customers underscore south. Some name. Okay. So dot CSV. So these are some CSV files we have it. So what we will be doing is we will be extracting this CSV files, extraction. So this extraction will be starting up by using the service called what is it? ADF. Okay. And then after the data is extracted, so what is the extraction process? Extraction process means what? Here in the file called customer underscore east, you may be having multiple, okay, you may be having what is that? Multiple guys columns. Can you see here? I may be having multiple columns. Just I'm opening this customer east. Can you see here, guys, everyone? This is some file. It's opening. Here, can you see? I have some file. I have some columns. Customer ID, customer name, location, and phone number. Suppose out of these 4 columns, I require only these 3 columns, or I require only 2 columns: customer name and customer IDs. I don't require these 2 columns. So this is called as the process of what? Extraction. Extraction happens in that. Okay. And once the extraction is done, then we perform the process of what? Transformation. And finally, once the transformation is done, guys, everyone will be performing the process of what? Loading the data. Loading where? Loading into the target system. Target system is what? The target system can be anything. Okay, the source, if the source is the desktop, that means here it is called as what? On-premises. Here this is called as what? On-premises system. When it is a desktop, that means it is called as what? On-premise system. From the on-premises system, if at all you wanted to move it to the cloud, so here you can say, what's it, guys? Everyone, you can say Azure Blob Storage. So tell me now, what type of storage you have it? The Azure Blob Storage is a part of the cloud environment. Am I right? Because it is a part of Azure. So it's a cloud environment. So whenever you require to transfer the data from the on-premises environment to the cloud environment, so this is Azure Blob Storage will become your target, will become your target, and source will become your on-premises. So between these two, I'm going to use the ADF. So ADF performs the job by using the technique called, what is it? ETL as a service. So clear, everyone? Is it clear or not? Guys, I want an answer. Please respond it.
Yes, Samira.
Yes.
So here you have it. That's it, guys. So now today we'll start with the Azure Data Factory first. So Azure Data Factory. So if at all you wanted to know the Azure Data Factory, simply, guys, you require to know some of the components in ADF. If you know that components, this entire process you can do it. Okay. So what is that you have it? So we can say components in ADF. Let us discuss components in ADF. Azure Data Factory components. So now, guys, the following are the components. The first component in the Azure Data Factory is called as the pipeline. And the second one is called as linker service. And the third one is called as a data set. And the fourth one is called as data flows. And the fifth one is called as what? Triggers. And the sixth one is activities. And the seventh one is called as integration runtime. Okay, it is called as integration runtime. So hence, in short, we call it as what? IR. In short, we call it as what? IR, integration runtime. Everyone. Okay, guys. So these are the 7 components which we have to discuss it. So guys, everyone. So I'm discussing these components now. If you know these components, then you know the whole ADF, guys. That's the only logic you have it. So when we talk about the pipeline, so guys, pipeline. So what is pipeline? Pipeline is nothing but, guys, everyone. Pipeline is nothing but, guys, everyone. Pipeline is nothing but, everyone. Pipeline is nothing but, it is used to carry the data from the, it is used to carry the data. It is used to carry the data from the source to the target. It is used to carry the data from the source to the target. Technically, what I can say is, it is used, the type pipeline is used, or pipeline is used to orchestrate the data from the source to the target. The pipeline is responsible for orchestration of the data from the source to the target. Orchestration means what? Flow of the data, guys. So how the data should flow, it is decided by the first component of the ADF, that is called as what? Pipeline. And now this, the full name of this is called as what? Data pipeline. It is called as what? Data pipeline. So data pipeline means what? The data pipeline is nothing but it is a pipeline. Data pipeline means what? The pipeline which is responsible to carry the data from the source to the target is called as what? Data pipeline. Now, guys, I will take an example here. I'll just give you an example here. Okay, everybody. I'll just give you an example now. Now, guys, the first one. So we all are residing in some residential apartments. Some residential apartments. Am I right? So we all have the taps at home just for water. If you open the tap, you'll get the water. But tell me now, from where do you get that water? From where you're getting that water ultimately?
Reservoir.
Okay, that is reservoir, that's fine. Okay, I can say that water you're getting it from the
Tank.
overhead tank.
Water.
Right. Overhead tank. So the overhead tank is the source of supply of the water to your tap. So that is nothing but what? The O that is the that is nothing but the overhead tank is the source for supply of the water to your tap. Am I right or not? So now tell me, how do you get the water from the overhead tank to the tap? Through a pipeline. Am I right or not? Pipeline is responsible to supply the water. Pipeline is responsible to supply the water from the source to the target. Source is the overhead tank and target is the tab you have it at your home. Am I right or not? So between this, there is a pipeline affixed. There is a pipeline given. Through that pipeline, you will receive the water. Am I right or not? So here in the same way, guys, here in the same way, the data, it carries the pipeline. In the example, the pipeline carries the water, but here the pipeline carries the data. The pipeline carries the data. So here you have a source, and the source, from the source to the target, and from the source to the target, and from the source to the target, guys, everyone, from the source to the target, the water is supplied. From the source to the target, the water, sorry, so from the source to the target, the data is supplied. The data is supplied through a pipeline. So we can say that pipeline supplies the data from the source to the target. From the source to the target. Hence, this is called as what? Data pipeline. Hence, this is called as what? Data pipeline. A pipeline filled with a data is called as what? Data pipeline. In the same way, when we talk about an example just now, what we have discussed, okay, we can say that the pipeline responsible to supply the water is called as what? Water pipeline. Am I right or not? In the same way, here it is called as what? Data pipeline. So clear, everybody? Please tell me now.
Yes.
That's it. So now, guys, data pipeline. That's it. Next one is what is already have it? Linked services. So what do you mean linked services? Linked services are nothing but this is used to, it is used to establish the connection between the storages. Storages means what? Source storages and target storage. Storages and the ADF. And the ADF. So here, link service is used to establish the connection. So as I told you that these above storages, whatever you have it, these above storages, whatever you have it, these are what? Common for all ADF, ADB, and Synapse. Am I right or not? These are common for all ADF, ADB, and Synapse. It's common for all. Whereas, guys, when you talk about this one, so here we require to connect. So here, what is it? You have it source, guys, everyone. Here you have what's it? On-premises system. Suppose let us say here, instead of the on-premises system, here I have a Azure blob. Azure blob is there. And now this Azure blob required to connect it with the ADF first. required to connect it with the ADF, and then it required to connect it with the target. What is my target? Target is also Azure Blob. So here you have it, Azure Blob Storage to Blob Storage transfer. So here we use the link service. So that means first link service is used to connect the source storage with the ADF, and second link service is used to connect the sync storage with the ADF. So two link services are required for two different accounts in any situation you have it. Okay, guys, the link services are those which is used to connect the storage with the ADF and the that is a storage with the ADF, whatever the storage. It can be the blob storage, it can be the Gen2 storage, it can be the SQL storage, or it can be the Cosmos storage, or it can be the PostgreSQL storage, or whatever the type of storage. Link service is essential. Am I right, everyone? Link service is very much essential here. Such as, guys, the tap is connected to the pipeline. Just go back to the example, what we have discussed just now. The tap is connected to the pipeline. The tap is connected to the pipeline. Am I right or not? Can you see here? This is the pipeline, water pipeline. This is the water pipeline. Supplying the water from the, what is that? Overhead tank. Overhead tank. Tank means what? The tank is type of a storage, you can say. This is the tank. Tank is a type of a storage. So water pipeline, here it is connected with the tank. So now again that connected to the tank. So now, so tank is here. Sorry, the tank is here. Water pipeline is connected with the tank. Now guys, the water pipeline is connected with the tank. That means the tank and the water pipeline require some connection or not here? Yes, guys, some type of a key is required. Key type of thing is required here. T will be connected the tank with the pipeline. Am I right or not? Yes, guys. Yes. Some T is required here to connect the tank with the water pipeline. In the same way, here you have it. Another tab is there. Tap is there. So here you have a tap. So to connect the tap with the again pipeline, do we require a T here? Yes, we require two T's. Am I right or not? Yes. Two T's are required here to connect the pipeline with the water tank and pipeline with the tap here. In the same way here also, guys, we require two linked services, one for the source and one for the target. So to connect it with the Azure Blob Storage, to connect it with the target Azure Blob Storage, we require two linked services, which are essential. That's true. So guys, is it clear, everyone? The pipeline and the link services or not? You got it. Okay. The next one, guys, what is it? You have it. The next one is what? Data sets. Data sets means what, guys? Whatever the data you get it. Okay, data sets are those. These are the pointers to the location of physical files. Pointer. Suppose you have a files here. On the desktop, you have a file called customer.ist.csv. So here we have to create a pointer. We have to create a pointer into the storage here. We have to create a pointer into the storage. That pointer is nothing but what? This points to the source storage. That means here, that means it shows that actually the file is physically stored here on the desktop, and I'm creating a pointer here that is called like a data set. That means pulling in a pointer is just type of what? It's a pointer is just to map you the path, to show you the path. Well, guys, when you go to the highway, you will have a markers, pointers will be there. Am I right? So Hyderabad 10 kilometers, and there will be arrow mark, straight arrow mark. Am I right or not? What is that? That is basically pointer to drive to the place. Am I right or not? In the same way, the data sets are nothing but pointers created into the storages. Pointers created into the storages. So we require to create how many data sets? In the same way, we require to create the two data sets, one for the source storage and one for the target storage. But for your understanding at this point of time, as you're not that much aware of it, I can tell you data sets are nothing but simple, guys. Very simple, I can tell you. Data sets is nothing but tables. Tables are the collection of what? Tell me now. Rows and columns. Am I right, everyone? So we can say data set is a table. That's it. Data set is a table. And where the table is a collection of what is that? Table is a collection of what? Rows and columns. That is, tables are the collection of what is that? Rows and columns. Everyone. Table is the collection of what? Rows and columns. Table is the collection of the rows and columns. So now data sets are those which are physically pointer, which are nothing but the pointers of the physical location of the file. Okay, physical location of the file, physical location of the file, physical location of the file. That's it. Okay, physical location of the file or physical location of the data. That's it. And in other words, you can say these are the tables created into the Azure Data Factory to store the data. Getting my point? And now the next one, guys. What is data flows? Guys, everyone, the data flows are nothing but everyone. This is called as basically the data flows are nothing but everyone. The data flows are nothing but ultimately transformations. Transformation is what? Where you change the data, where you change the structure of the data is called as transformation. The transformations in Azure, the transformations in Azure, transformations in Azure are called as what is that? Mapping data flows. The full name of the data flow is what? Mapping data flows. The full name of the data flow is what, guys? Mapping data flow. Everyone, the full name of the data flow is what? Mapping data flow. The full name of the data flow is what is that? Mapping data flows. Everyone, the full name of the data flow is what? Mapping data flows. Everyone, okay? Clear, guys? Please say something, yes or no, or whatever it may be. Yes, guys? So, guys, the mapping data flows are nothing but the transformations. What are the mapping data flows? You can say sorting of data. Okay. Then sorting of data and filtering of rows, sorting of data, filtering of rows. All this comes under the transformations, which are the ultimate actions you are going to perform it on the data. Ultimate actions you are performing on the data. That is called as what? Mapping data flows. That's it, guys. Mapping data. That's it, guys. Everyone is clear? So that's it, guys. Okay, for the day. And tomorrow we will discuss the triggers, activities, and integration runtime. And parallelly, tomorrow we will start with the first practical. Tomorrow we'll start with the first practical session on this ADF. Okay. So first of all, we will complete the ADF, and then we'll switch over to the ADB. Then at the end, we'll see the Azure, that is Synapse, and then we'll see the project and end the things. So this is the route map of the entire course. You have it. And any other questions, if you have, you can ask me. Please go ahead.
Samir, you will be the instructor, right, from the end to end of this
Yes,
course?
yes.
Okay. Okay. Once we pay the amount, we will get the another link, right, from tomorrow?
Yes, from tomorrow onwards, the link is going to change, and you can get it registered and get another link from tomorrow. So the timings will
Same
be
time.
same, 11 o'clock. There will be no change in the timing. Okay. If it is possible, later we will think of switching over to 10 o'clock. That's it. Not more than that. If it is feasible for everyone. Or the timing will standard 11 o'clock. Okay. 11 to 12:15. That's it. Like every day. 12, 12:15. Based on the scenario. If the scenario demand is more, then we will continue for 1:15 or 1:20. That is 12:15 or 12:20 also, 12:30 also. Based on the scenario, demand of the scenario, we will move forward on this. Okay. Because some scenarios will take 1 hour, some scenarios will take 45 minutes, and some will take 1.5 hour time. So based on that only we have to work. Okay. That's it, guys. Any other questions for me? Please go ahead. And now one more thing. We'll just create a WhatsApp group, and this is my number. Just ping me on my number in the following format. So you have to give your name and your mobile number. Name your mobile number, and then you'll have your email IDs. Email ID to provide you all the access for this drive, Google Drive. So email ID is required. So name, mobile number, email ID, and batch. You can mention the batch as full stack 11 a.m. Okay. This is the way you can have it. Send me a message on the WhatsApp. So here, this is my number. So if somebody is calling out of India, you can have +91 8096374412. This is my number, guys, everyone. So you can just WhatsApp me with this details so that we will create a WhatsApp group, and the daily class updates will be available. Daily class updates will be available on this. Okay, so that we can discuss the things. Anything you can have it. Okay. That's it, guys. So we'll meet tomorrow morning, the same time. Thank you, everyone. So I'm ending the class. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for attending, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks.